So here it is, SYM NHT 125, yes, that's correct, 125 cubic centimetres. So I thought you might want to come on a little ride with me today. Got the microphone inside the helmet, so you should actually be able to hear me without too much wind resistance. Anyway, I've noticed that in the UK, there's not a great many people that have this bike. Quite a lot of the videos on YouTube and whatnot seem to be from Europe, from Africa, where this bike's very popular, but not so much here in the UK. I got this little beauty up in Stoke, my first bike, so I don't want you in any way to think that this is me sharing my wisdom. Oh no, there is no wisdom. I know nothing about motorbikes. Most of my motorbike riding at the moment is based on trying not to crash, which is the way it should be. So I just wanted to talk to you as a newbie rider, enjoying my first bike very much. Not concerned about the fact that it's a 125. Trying not to spend too much time looking at the little window on my camera, but instead looking at the road. So anyway, this is a 125 and it comes in the shape of an adventure bike, which, you know, I've been doing all of my research on YouTube, looking at what my next bike's going to be when I pass my test, and I think for most people the notion of an adventure bike being a 125 is completely ridiculous. However, there are those among us who haven't passed our test, and a 125 is all we can have. So when I went and bought this bike and I was looking at all the different things that there were available, what I seemed to be being told was that they're all much of a muchness, it's just about styling. Well, it strikes me that's not really the case with the SYM NHT 125. A couple of reasons. There's the weight, which is low down, which I'm not a pro, but I understand sort of feels incredibly stable and secure. As a new rider, I just feel like I'm absolutely flowing on this bike. Now, I don't have a great deal of experience, so I can't tell you anything compared to other bikes. What I can tell you is that as a new rider, this is absolutely phenomenal. I'm just loving every moment of it. It makes it easy for me, it makes it enjoyable for me. The other thing obviously is that it's got spoked wheels. Now, I don't think that's particularly a gimmick. You know, the idea is that spoked wheels are easier to repair. I don't think that they're cheaper to put on there, so, you know, there is the intention for, you know, potentially whacking a rock and being able to actually fix your reel rather than just knacker an alloy wheel. There's the riding position, which is very upright, very adventure bike style, and incredibly comfortable. So the longest journey I've done on this has been into Wales and back. It was a 4-hour round trip, and we went with a group of about 50 bikers, and it was just joyful. It really was. It was a lovely bike. It handled it well. It eats up the corners. It's not a speed machine, as you can see here now. I mean, 30 miles an hour I probably shouldn't be in fourth anyway. The only power you're going to get out of this is going to be in the higher revs. So even now at 6.5, I'm not really feeling any power. Now as it gets up towards 8, I feel like I've got some power. So I'll slip into 5th. And the other thing obviously is the suspension travel on that front wheel. You feel like you know, you've got a bit of suspension there to soak up a bit of the odd bump. Now, I think that this probably is not going to get you across the Alps, but is it a complete fraud as an adventure bike? Well, I've taken it down some little dirt tracks, a little bit of a green lane, a bit of a forest track, you know, a bumpy road that's full of gravel, where, you know, a racing bike would just slip. And I have to say that if you're starting out, you can only afford a 125. You want to nip up to your local mountains, do some forest tracks, take the tent up there by a lake or something, you're absolutely going to love this. You can get panniers to fit on the back, you can ride on it for hours at a time, and it feels comfortable. I mean, as a first bike, I'm absolutely delighted with it. It'll cruise comfortably at 60 on a flat. Going up any kind of incline, you're going to struggle to get past 50. But you know, when you're just on your first bike and waiting to pass your test, you probably shouldn't be being a speed demon anyway. I'm really using this as the bike that I'm using to work out how to ride a bike, you know, how to stay safe, where to slow down, how to take corners, gear changes, good braking, all that sort of stuff. So I'm actually finding that talking, I haven't been out on a ride for 2 days because it was that, I don't know when you're watching this, but July 2022 in the UK there was like a mega heat wave for 2 days, so I stayed well and truly indoors for that. So I'm just trying to keep my eye on the road a little bit. I like going and exploring little countryside lanes and wiggly stuff where you have to do 15 miles an hour around a corner. That's good fun for me. Also, I'm pretty much trying to stay within the speed limits, to be honest. I know there are times when the road begs you to do something different, but as a learner, you know, figuring out what bends mean, you know, that's often the same on a 125 as it's going to be on a bigger, faster, more powerful bike. That's all about tyres and grip on the road surface. So, but I mean, it really is lovely to throw around. I mean, it just feels so nice on the corners. I just have huge confidence in this bike. The brakes are actually a little bit, I don't know if this is usual, but your foot brake, which is usually your back brake, is front and back on this. They're connected. So I don't know if you like that or not, because moving on to a bigger bike, that is going to become a little bit confusing because it's a completely different kind of control that you need to have. It's really useful for a beginner. It means that I'm less likely to skid or go over the handlebars. I'm just getting nice even braking. But as a more experienced driver, I think you probably want to be in control of those choices. So it's just a little SYMism that I'm making you aware of there. So I don't really know where I'm going at the moment. I'm just showing you some nice countryside. One or two places where I can open up the throttle and hit 60 and it feels like fun. Bit of a problem with these roads is, yes, those two white lines mean no passing, but there's no saying there's not going to be a boy racer around the corner, and there's no long line of visibility. And the one thing I do not want to do, because I'm scared, is trust traffic. I don't think anybody does, actually. I'm not going to trust anyone that just around this corner here there isn't some milk tanker pulling out of a side road. So that really is the way I'm riding at the moment. I know thrill seekers out there will go out on a wish and a prayer, a wing and a prayer, and hope for the best, because, you know, what's life if you can't ride? I kind of understand that, really, but I've got a family. They like me. They want me to come home. But this is lovely. What a nice bike. What a super duper first bike. You'll wonder why you have absolutely no power, and it's up against that red line in fourth there, and it's taking it up to 56 in fourth gear. It's only 5 speed, so fifth is your top gear. So what else is there to say about this? It's a pretty simple machine. You haven't got a sat-nav or anything like that. You've got a clock, which at the moment is an hour slow, and I don't know how to set it. You've got a speedo, you've got gears, you've got brakes. Ultimately, you've got a super comfortable machine, which is going to be an absolute joy for you if you're just learning to ride. It's 10 horsepower, I believe, so for a 125 it's nowhere near the max. You know, max power you can go up to 15. But that's not necessarily everything you want in a bike. Well, for a start, this thing is £2,500 new, which is just an insane price. I mean, that's really a really good price. Now, one or two things to say about that. You might be thinking, well, you know, these cheap Chinese factories, but this is word that I've heard over the last 5 years. A lot of these factories over in the east have really upped their game, because they had a massive reputation for being absolute tat. So I can't speak for all of them, but the general feeling is amongst people I've spoken to that they are upping their game a bit. And bikes that used to be virtually disposable, you know, you buy it 1 year, the next year it's a rust bucket. That's just not the case anymore. I had a very experienced mechanic look over this, you know, to tell me whether it was, as bikers might say, well put together, build quality. That's what you always hear, build quality. And he was really quite struck by it. You know, he was looking at things like the quality of the welding and was saying, look at that weld there, that is like an absolutely perfect weld. And that's what you want to hear from an experienced engineer and biker. You know, it's it doesn't just look nice, it doesn't just feel nice, it's actually a really nicely put together machine that's going to last if I look after it. You know, I know people who've got these, are quite new and they've got 16,000 miles on them already, so that does give me a bit of confidence if I keep it serviced and don't thrash it. There we go. Pulls away nicely. I mean, you can keep up with traffic, not a problem. Most traffic. So yeah, I'm just doing this because I think there are a few of them knocking about, but if you're looking at YouTube and you're thinking of buying one of these, you'll barely be able to find anything about it in English. There's one review which is, you know, mostly two guys who sound like they're trying to sell it to you, and there is a video in South Africa, but nobody's really bombed around on it and talked about it in the UK, so I'm quite experienced with this in, well, in my terms. I've had it for about a month. What I mean is, it's not a first ride. I've had it for about a month, I've been riding around on it, I've got its little foibles. I'm not very good at clutch control, and I do find that it slips out of neutral sometimes and stalls, so that's rare, but it does occasionally happen that the neutral light's lit up. I let go of the clutch and it stalls. Probably it's just my fault, because truth be told, you can really feel it in the gear shift if it's not quite in, so I'm sure I could be partly blamed for that. I'm getting used to it now as well, so where I used to have to fanny around with my foot a little bit, I'm not really having to do that so much anymore. I know somebody had a nasty accident on this road because there are farms along here, and there was a tanker pulling out. Now, I mean, realistically, I think he was racing. He was probably doing about 100 miles an hour, and that was very sadly the end of him. But as a new rider, I'm just constantly thinking, everywhere I can see, if I can't see at least double my stopping distance, then I'm doing something wrong. Like, I've got to assume that there's a car coming around that corner at least as fast as I am, overtaking a tractor. You know, I'm just riding around assuming that as a newbie rider. And I think that probably when you get super experienced, you know, I've seen people overtaking cars, there's two vehicles coming on at them, and they can just whip it out of the way, or just find that gap and go between them. It's like some kind of racing video game, but that's just nowhere near where I am. Frankly, I don't really want to be there. I hope you're not getting too much wind noise. I hope you can hear me alright. Getting quite a lot of wind noise in my ears. I don't know about that microphone. So I'm not 100% sure where this road goes. What we're going to do is just have a little explore. I'll take a left up here at some point. So I'm not sure what else there is to say about this bike. Yeah, I've off-roaded it in, you know, the very strictest sense, in that it wasn't literally tarmac. I haven't tried to do anything extreme. I don't think there's any point because it hasn't got the power, but my initial thing of is it a complete scam to call it an adventure bike? No, I wouldn't hesitate for one moment to take it up to North Wales, down some forest tracks to find a nice camping spot. Absolutely not. And I think as well, the reason why you'll see quite a lot of SYM over in you know, Africa and India, and people riding them around and making videos about them there is affordability. There's a lot less disposable income. So a 125 is completely normal. They wouldn't be thinking, oh, is a 125 really an adventure bike? It just is. So they'll use it for that, and it does very well, thank you. And do you know what really excited me about it most of all was, I've got to plug this YouTube channel, assuming anybody's watching this. I wanted to have a look up there the other day, so I'm going to go and have a look up there now. Let's see if we can do some adventure biking without stalling. I was in 4th. So I'm going to go and have a look up there for you. That's neutral. I mean, this is probably the drive to somebody's house, but we shall see, shan't we? It might not be. You can but look. Yeah, it looks to me like it's the drive to somebody's house. That was a daft idea. Well, it wasn't, because I didn't know. Oh, stuck up someone's house now. Sorry. Let's just turn this around. There are little lanes like this around the place. It's only the locals that really know about them. But if you were on, this isn't exactly tarmac, so you know, a racing bike might just struggle a little bit. This just feels somehow a bit more comfortable. I mean, there's my drive that my mate comes down my drive, which is a bit like this, and he really does struggle to hold on. Right, let's see if I can get out of here now with this visibility. Yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, you got to check out this YouTube channel if you haven't seen it already, C90 Adventures. Okay, this guy's been doing these videos for about 10 years. The idea was he started off up at the very northernmost point in Alaska, literally by the sea. And he had to drive up there on the bike to get there in the first place, just to get to his starting point. But yeah, anyway, that was a nice little... I'm going to go down here and see what's what. I don't think it's going to be anything but a farm, but you never know, you might just find the odd little road that nobody knew about. So what is this place? I just wanted to show you that you know, oh, this is interesting. Oh, what is this? We're on sand now. So that slipped around. I'm feeling quite comfortable. This is a bit of a test. I don't know what it looks like on the video, but the bike is so stable. It's just... Oh! Absolute vintage. The bike is so stable. Well, that was me trying to turn into a blooming huge... I'm not hurt, I'm okay. Let's see what the bike's like, first priority. Yeah, we're all good, we're all good, we're all good.